You are watching Raptors Today. We are in Scotiabank Arena. I'm beside Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton. Amy Audibert will be joining us a little bit later. Of course, now the Raptors, they're still on the road. They're going to play Memphis next. Memphis has the worst defensive rating, guys, in the league right now. So, Jones, I'm going to go to you first. You know, who is due for a solid night? Who's overdue for a good matchup that you take advantage of?
I don't know if he's overdue, but after Pascal hit the skids in Utah, he really came back strong against Sacramento. And then he followed up with a pretty fair game against Golden State. And maybe he's starting to develop some consistency. With the worst defensive rating, you would think that Nick Nurse would be able to scheme to get one of his best players, Pascal Siakam, some good looks. And then if Memphis does start to come and double team him, they've always said, once you've drawn two, you've done your job, start moving the ball. And if they are the worst and continue to be the worst in defensive rating, those are going to be some open shots. So I look for Pascal to be handling the ball. I look for him to try and get going. If they don't double team him and he gets going in a one-on-one situation, starts to score, we could see something akin to Sacramento in terms of those numbers again for Pascal.
And somebody who could also, you know, get going on the scoring board of things that he started out so strong was Scotty Barnes, of course, Sherm. So, you know, what do you take away from, you know, his potential matchup that he could be seen in the Memphis Grizzlies?
Well, I think Scotty Barnes is even though he's not scoring the basketball, I think he's doing a very good job in other areas. And sometimes when a guy busts out the gate like that, you think that this offensive burst is going to continue. He's a rookie. Pump your brakes, everybody. Allow this guy to go through his learning process. But there's no question. I mean, last game against Golden State didn't score a lot, but had 13 rebounds, a career high. So he's doing things to help his team in ways that don't show up in the points column. But I think in a game like this, the Raptors are going to be able to play up and down. They're not going to have that defensive resistance that they've had with other teams. So they're going to get the ability to play more transition. They're probably going to be freer in the half court. So I think we're going to see Scotty Barnes handle the ball more, be more of a decision maker. And that's one way Nick can get him to shoot more shots, as he said he wants him to shoot. And that way Scotty can get more involved on the offensive end.
Absolutely. And somebody that the Raptors have to look out for, of course, is Ja Morant. He's one of the most effective scorers in the league, especially, you know, just watching him get to the lane. He's so decisive. He's so, tricky. He's a trickster, I find, when he's trying to make his moves down the lane. Jonesy, give me your thoughts on what you expect to see from him, and how can the Raptors also stop him?
I don't know how you stop him, all right? I don't know. And with all the guys, contain is probably a better way to put it, Sav. With all these guys complaining about the physicality of the league, it hasn't really impacted him. You haven't really heard him talk about that. He's amongst the league leaders in getting to the free throw line about 6 times a game. His scoring is up, as you say. He's top 10 in scoring. He's giving you about 25 points, 7 assists. He's amongst the top assist guys in the NBA, and he's almost 6 rebounds a game. That's in the top 20 for guards. So he's kind of doing it all right now. And as you said, Sam, his craftiness, his ability to get into the lane. I mean, last night they make a game-winning shot because he gets into the lane and pitches it out to Jaren Jackson. So the dynamic nature of his play makes him very difficult. So it's going to be tough for Fred, for Malachi. You might even see Scotty on him, the way they switch pick and rolls and stuff. Whoever has him is going to have to try and contain him. And that's not a one-man job either. It's 5 guys trying to do that. But he is definitely a guy that the Raptors need to be leery of tomorrow night.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned the fact that, you know, he's the physicality of the NBA this season, and I'd say the allowed increase of physicality.
Hey, you can't hit what you can't catch, right?
That is very true. We did talk about quickness just the other show. Sure, a physical guy, though, one of the most physical guys in the league is Steven Adams, and now he's on this roster. Yeah. We saw what he could do back with OKC. He was like unstoppable there. I'm still adjusting to seeing him in a Memphis jersey. But how do we contain or stop him from getting to the boards and getting what he wants down low? Because he's so strong.
Oh, you talk about the league gravitating to more physicality. Well, Steven Adams fits the bill when you talk about a guy who's physical. And he's one of those guys who you hit him, you get hurt. He hits you, you get hurt. Yeah. That's the only result and outcome. But he's such a smart player. he creates such a presence on the block. He does a great job in terms of setting screens for guys like Ja Morant to get loose and attack. He's got good hands. He can finish around the basket, and he's going to stay in his lane. And that's the beauty of Steven Adams. He knows his role. He does it very well, and that's why every team could use a Steven Adams. But this is a guy who they're going to have to deal with on the glass as well. He pushes bodies, he moves bodies out the way, and he creates space on the glass. So they're going to have to be extremely physical with Steven Adams, and that's a tall order considering how physical the guy is.
Absolutely. Now joining me from sunny San Francisco, I am slightly jealous as the weather gets cooler here in Canada, is Amy Audibert. Amy, Isaac Bonga, he got the call up from the 905 to join back with the big team. So I have to wonder, how hectic is it to kind of play for both teams at the same time?
I can imagine it's very hectic, but when you look at a guy like Isaac Bonga, he was a second-round pick in 2018 who spent some time with the G League the last 2 seasons with Washington. He understands the grind, and it's particularly exciting to see Isaac back with the Raptors, at least for this week, because, I mean, first of all, he's listed as 6'8", but walking by him, he has a frame. We got to see him all through the preseason and early on in the season. He's averaging right around 23 and 10 for the 905, 3 assists, so he likes to facilitate as well. So this is a guy, and let's not forget, Nick Nurse, before he was assigned to the 905, said that Isaac's good enough to play. It's just they were having trouble finding minutes for him, which is, I guess, a positive problem. So I'm excited to see what kind of energy his presence can be, and if he gets thrown out there, what he can do on the court for the Raptors.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what he could do with the Toronto Raptors. Now, is there a different approach, playing with the Toronto Raptors as opposed to playing with the 905? And, is there a different mindset that comes along with that?
Well, I've never been a two-way or an assignment guy, so I really can't exactly say what they're thinking, but I imagine it's pretty exciting. This is the grind that a lot of these guys understand and sign up for, so getting the call to come back with the Raptors is definitely exciting. As far as the 905, I can't speak for every other G League affiliate, but I know that the G League, the 905 and the Toronto Raptors, they work very close. The 905 have gotten out to a hot start at 3-1. They rank top 5 in the G League in points and rebounds, so they like to get after it. And their head coach, Patrick Mutombo, he's tough and he expects defense, he expects intensity, just like Nick Nurse. And so I imagine for a lot of these guys that get the opportunity to flex back and forth, that they come in with the same mindset where if my number's called, I've got to be ready to go.
Thanks, Amy. Enjoy the San Francisco sun while you can. We're going to head over now to Justin Champagny, who talked a little bit about the 905.
I actually haven't spoke to them. I think I spoke to David a couple days ago, but just on some some friendly stuff. But it's cool to have them back. I missed them. I missed them a lot, so it's gonna be fun.
You all have a better look than anybody on what the 905 practices look like, Patrick Mutombo's mentality. Are there similarities between that and what the Raptors do?
I think there are. This guy's a clown.
He's a model.
No, he is my son, but it's pretty similar though. They preach toughness, defense. Just being aggressive all the time. So.
And I just want to ask you about Isaac in particular, because Nick Nurse has said that he thought he was good enough to be here and play here, just couldn't find him minutes. And so, your experience on the court with him, what do you like about what Isaac's been doing?
He does it all, I think. He's not really limited to one aspect of the game. He's a good rebounder. He's just all around a hooper. So he plays hard and he finds ways to help the team.
Here is an excerpt of Delano Banton's Rexdale tour from episode 5 of Open Gym, presented by Bell.
We're back in the stomping grounds in the neighborhood. Rexdale, Kipling, and Mount Olive. So I grew up. That's where it all started, I'll say it was like a gritty environment. A lot of people, it's a little less fortunate, but it's like a tight-knit family type thing where if you need sugar, you go to your next door neighbor. If they need something, they come to you. So that's kind of how I was built. It's a given community who always looks out to help each other and kind of want to see everyone shine, whatever field you're in. Because it's not a lot of good coming out of my neighborhood, so I feel like just coming from there gives me that grit, that extra push. My grandparents always live here, my grandma, and, my uncles and stuff. So I was always here as a kid, every weekend and stuff like that, but I lived with my mom. But I officially, finally moved here when I was, 13 or, 10. But I was always here, though. I used to go to school from here. So I kind of always lived here, but it is home. This is my home, That's where it started. They changed it though, like they put in like a new park. It's new. It's nice. You know, kids get to come out. This used to be like all grass and like poles. Like see these poles? Yeah. They used to go all around. And we used to play like football right here because this was just all grass, and then like they made like a project, and like kids got to get out of school to help build the park. So it's kind of like a trip too. So kids got to a bunch of kids built the park if you went to school in the neighborhood. Yo, you guys remember that summer where they just started putting backboards everywhere? One summer they put a backboard like on every wall and every pole. And like, was there a net? There was no net on them, right? There was nets on them? But we broke them. There used to be a net right here though. Yeah, everyone just tried to dunk on it. I don't know why they were doing that. Like every corner you walk in, there'd just be a basketball room. This used to be like a 100-meter dash like track right here. This is like where you found out if you could hang, you know? You line up right here and race to that end. Only the real can make it through though. And you guys know me. I play a pace, so. Yeah, so 98, that used to be my old house right there. And we moved. That's how you know I'm the real representation of right here. I moved from one house to another house in the same complex. That's legendary. You never heard of that one before. This is a legendary painting. This has been here since I can remember. But yeah. I won. I can make 100 free throws in a row. Proven fact. All right, you guys get one take because I'm not going again. All right. Holy, this looks young.
Look at me. Yo. All respect, though. All respect, yo. You made it from all of bro. Yo, if you make it from all of you can make it from anywhere.
Yeah, I do know.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Yo, Jacket's tough, bro.
I look young, though?
Huh?
It looks small?
No.
What are you doing like again? Quanic. This is my guy on 2K, so when I go around in 2K and I have my badge on, so I'm rolling with it.
I didn't get my picture yet.
So take a picture. Right?
Nadine, Jesus. You look good. Smile. No, better smile.
You don't really see it often. I mean, you never seen it before, so not from here at least. So when you see it, it's like everybody just wants to embrace you. You know, no one wants nothing, just nothing but the best for you. You know? Baby Keys, I was just about to message you. What are you doing? Holy, that's how you're saucing? Happy birthday. It's my dog's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. My little bro. One thing I'm gonna say is every time I come in this house, it changes. Like you can't come in here and see the same setup twice, you know? But this is where, it never all started here, but halfway started here because like I said, I lived in the other house in the same complex. But we're gonna start right here. And this is because we're from Toronto and everyone knows how cultural Toronto is. If you see these, then you know you're in a Jamaican household. These are called the barrels. And my grandma packs these with whatever she could find. She'll take my shoes, your shoes, anyone's clothes, whatever you can find, you put it in here, you ship it back to Jamaica, you ship it home, you know? That's what all these bags are for, all the stuff you see. So we're not just cluttered, you know, it's a cultural thing. This is what we do. It's a small plate, nothing crazy, but this is from the neighborhood chef. If you want some food and you're in the neighborhood in the complex, you guys hit me up and I'll hit you guys in, but it's called Ned's Delice. Shout out to her. She's the best. What'd you say? What? Yeah, but you know she's the biggest chef. Yo! Check what time the 45 comes. Made it onto the bus. Not many seats. It's not too packed though, it's good. It's a Sunday. This was a business day, it would have been, you know, a bit worse, but we're good. Haven't been on here in a minute. Feel good. You know? We're back. Feel at home, you know? I'm about to take the bus to practice tomorrow.
It is American Thanksgiving. Obviously, we here in Canada celebrate it back in October, but nonetheless, it's never a bad time to still be thankful for our blessings and everything that we got. So Sherman, I'm going to start with you. What are you thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful for a lot of things, but from a Raptors perspective, I'm really thinking that them being back in Toronto, I think it's a huge deal. Understanding the duress that this organization was under, the players, management, everybody involved that were uprooted and lived in Tampa for the whole season. It's a difficult proposition considering they're the only team in the league that had to do that. And then you talk about the fans missing their team, not just in Toronto, not just in the province of Ontario, but countrywide there are Raptor fans that didn't get a chance to get that same feel they had with their team. So I think it's a great situation that they're back in Toronto, back home in front of their fans, and the players get to live a normal life again in some senses because they're in their own beds, their families are around them, and they can maneuver more of the way they did pre-pandemic. So I think that's a great situation. It's something to be thankful for, especially for the fans.
You know, it really impacted the team when OG Anunoby was saying that he missed the Gardner Expressway.
Wow.
Remember that?
That's drilling
and
down.
all the traffic.
And all the
Yeah.
traffic
Yeah,
that came
yeah,
along
yeah.
with it. That's
When you're missing the negatives, you're missing.
That's when you know you're homesick. But yeah, okay, let's move on to you. What are you thankful for in terms of the Raptors organization?
You know, Savannah, like Sherm said, thankful for lots of stuff, stuff that goes unseen in our everyday life. But
Yes.
to kind of jump off Sherm's point, I'm thankful for the people in the organization. Look at what they did to make things as comfortable as they could for everybody in Tampa. It was almost, from an untenable situation going through the pandemic. And then they come back, and it's like they don't miss a beat. I mean, here we are. Look, we weren't here last year, outside the locker room just behind us. And the people that have made it okay, people that have made it all right for us to be back. And all the way from, Larry Tannenbaum and the owners and Masai and Bobby and like everybody down, the PR staff. I mean, you're walking around this building on a night when there's a game, seeing the familiar faces of ushers and people that you know, and everybody's wearing their mask and shaking hands. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to have that sense of normalcy back, come back to the arena. It's always great. You always get excited coming to the arena. See kids running down the aisle to the front row to yell at players and ask for autographs. That's the kind of stuff I'm thankful for because we missed it for a long time. It's great to have it back.
Absolutely. And to build off of your organizational point, I'm grateful that Masai Ujiri decided to stay in Toronto. Because there was a chance there he might have taken a different route, and everything that he's contributed to the organization, but like off the court too, right? Giants of Africa program.
Yep.
He's really inspired a lot of people, I think, here in Canada with his international awareness and his leadership and not being afraid to speak up. And I think that's something that a lot of leaders in the NBA look up to as well. But on a different note, I would also like to shout out to the 905 because it was, listen, from a media perspective, it's tough to cover a team that's not in your backyard sometimes.
Yes.
The 905, they were in a bubble in Orlando, so it was really tough to always connect with them, to get the stories, and to really carve out time to, you can't just pull them aside on practice or after shoot around or nothing. You're literally having to schedule and go through so many different routes and operations, but so grateful to just see them directly.
We're around great leagues,
Yeah.
the 905, the NBA, and when you think of the tumult that the world has had in the past, year and a half, the fact that they stand for social justice and they want to see change and they've been so progressive, the NBA, the league, the things that they're doing, the things that the players are doing, the way it has intertwined with what's happening in the WNBA and what those ladies are doing, all of those things, basketball has really taken the lead in that, and I'm thankful for that.
And if I never have to get on another Zoom call, another Cisco WebEx call, a Skype call, it won't be soon enough. It was great. We did what we had to do, but I'm done with that. Let's get back to the real thing.
But I'm grateful that Raptors Today is filming in person.
There you go.
Remember that last
Absolutely.
year? Shout out to our producer Jake for
Made
making
it
that
work.
happen.
He
Exactly.
made it work.
Mark J. Spears, journalist in the States, of course. He did an interview with Kyle Lowry, and he got a lot out of him in regards to his thoughts on Toronto, where he's at now, and potential one-day contract coming back with the Raptors. But you, because you're cool, you had him on your show for the Fan 590 on Sportsnet. So you got to tell me how that went and what you learned from it.
Mark's a terrific journalist, and his work is always so great. He writes for ESPN, The Undefeated, and when he sat down with Kyle, it was kind of a, where are you now, Kyle? I mean, what Kyle has accomplished in the past, the championship, and he talked about Kyle leaving the franchise in a good spot. Kyle talked about Fred and Pascal and OG, and it's their time to shine. And it's kind of like, you know, you get to that stage in your life. Kyle's a golfer, and when it came to the Raptors, Kyle got to about the 16th hole, and he'd won the match, and he was ready to leave the course. And it was time for the other guys to take up that torch. So I was really interested to talk to Mark about that. And the article's terrific, folks. If you haven't had a chance to see it, you should read it. Kyle talks about what he accomplished in Toronto and his affinity for Toronto and how difficult it's going to be for him when he comes back. Because remember, all of that year in Tampa, he didn't come back to Toronto. All the things that he had here, he talked about his house, the keepsakes from his sons, from his kids that were still in Toronto that he couldn't get to. It's going to be heart-wrenching when he comes back here in February to play in Toronto.
Absolutely. And the link will be, by the way, in the YouTube description of this episode, so stay tuned for that. But, you know, Sherm, I would also like to hear your thoughts on, you know, just Kyle Lowry, what you made of the article, and, you know, where do you think he's at as well?
Well, I think Kyle was pretty clear. He's a very honest guy when it comes to speaking about Toronto. He really loved this city. He loved the country. I mean, his charitable contributions over the years were phenomenal. He and his wife, Ayana, continually gave back to the community. He was completely invested in being a Toronto Raptor and being a good citizen in this city and in this country. So when you see that separation, understanding it's a business, he's going to move on. He's going to try and chase another championship. But there's something about him that is still in Toronto. And when you understand that about a player at that level that has accomplished so much, it really creates this affinity for him, this understanding that he left it all on the floor and he did it because he loved being here. And that's something that, as we know, Toronto fans have always complained about, players saying they didn't want to be in Toronto. Kyle wanted to be here and he loved the city. And I think when he comes back, it is going to be a tear fest. It's going to be a tearjerker. He's going to cry, and I think fans are going to cry because of what he's done. But one thing about Kyle is he left a mark on the franchise.
Absolutely.
And he did it the right way, and he did it by winning. And his leadership, to me, at that level, was unparalleled for anybody else wearing a Raptor uniform.
Absolutely. You know, in the article, he talked about DeMar DeRozan and, you know, how emotional he's going to potentially get. He's like, oh, you know, I'm a man, but at the same time, I'm a little sensitive. Like, you know, Toronto has a soft spot in my heart, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like when he comes back. I'm definitely going to be here. That's all I know.
There you go.
I'm going to be living for the moment when I hear the stadiums just go crazy. I'm sure they're going to cheer at their whole chest when he comes back, and I would love to see just how that moment will play out. But you can catch the Raptors' next game, November 24th. That's 8 p.m. They're playing the Memphis Grizzlies. Watch it on TSN and listen to it there as well. From Paul Jones, Sherman Hamilton, Savanna Hamilton, myself, Jake LaRue, Matt, and Luke, our editor, thank you for watching another episode of Raptors Today.